The glass doors of the Sterling and Company luxury car dealership slid open. I walked in, shaking the snow off my old, heavy parka. My name is Elias Thorne. I'm 68 years old. To look at me, you would think I was a retired mechanic or perhaps a farmer who had fallen on hard times. My boots were muddy, my hands were calloused, and I drove a 2008 Ford pickup truck that rattled when it idled. I was there to see my son-in-law, Julian. Julian was the general manager of this dealership. It was a high-end place, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Bentleys. The floor sparkled under bright LED lights. The smell of expensive leather and espresso filled the air. I spotted Julian near the front desk, laughing with two younger salesmen. He was wearing a suit that probably cost more than my truck. His hair was slicked back, and he had that smile, the one that didn't reach his eyes. "Julian," I called out, my voice raspy from the cold. The laughter stopped. Julian turned. His smile vanished instantly, replaced by a look of pure disgust. He didn't walk toward me, he marched. He stopped 3 feet away, blocking me from going further onto the showroom floor. "Elias," he hissed, dropping the "Dad. What are you doing here? I told you, clients come here. High net worth individuals. Having you loiter in the lobby is bad for the brand." "I need to talk to you about Sarah," I said quietly. "Sarah was my daughter. She called me crying yesterday. She says the rent is late again. She says you blocked her credit cards." Julian laughed, a sharp, cruel sound. He looked back at his colleagues, making sure they were watching. "Sarah is dramatic. She spends too much. And you? You're just here to beg for another handout, aren't you? The old man needs gas money." "I don't want your money, Julian. I want to know why my daughter is working double shifts while you're driving a demo Porsche and wearing a Rolex." Julian stepped closer, invading my personal space. "Listen to me, old man. You were a warehouse foreman for 40 years. You moved boxes. I move millions. You don't understand economics. Now, get out. You're trailing mud on my Italian tile." He snapped his fingers. "Security. Escort this gentleman to the exit. If he resists, call the police for trespassing." A burly guard stepped forward. I looked Julian in the eye. "You're making a mistake, Julian. The only mistake was letting you into the building," he sneered. "Go back to your trailer park." I didn't resist. I turned and walked out into the snow. As the doors closed, I heard Julian say to his team, loud enough for me to hear, "Imagine being that pathetic at his age. Total failure." I climbed into my truck. I didn't start the engine immediately. I sat there, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. I wasn't angry. Anger is hot and messy. I was cold. I was calculating. Julian thought I was a retired warehouse foreman. And that was true. I had been a foreman. But he didn't know what I did after I retired. And he certainly didn't know about the patent I had sold in 1998 for a logistics algorithm, or the subsequent investments I had made in lithium mining and tech startups. He saw a poor old man. He didn't see the silent majority shareholder of the investment group that was currently negotiating to buy his entire dealership chain. I drove back to my home. It wasn't a trailer. It was a modest farmhouse on 50 acres of land, far outside the city. It looked simple from the outside, but inside, my office was state-of-the-art. 3 monitors sat on my oak desk. I logged into my secure server. The balance on my primary holding account flashed on the screen, $248 million. I had lived simply because I hated waste. I wanted my daughter to find a man who loved her for who she was, not for her father's money. So, I kept the secret. When she met Julian, I thought he was ambitious. I didn't realize he was a narcissist. I picked up the phone and dialed a number. Kowalski. It's time. Kowalski was the best private investigator in the state. Former FBI, forensic accountant. What's the scope, Elias? His gravelly voice answered. Julian Sterling. I want everything. Bank statements, hidden accounts, GPS logs, text messages. And I want a deep dive into the dealership's books. He's spending money he claims he doesn't have. Find out where it's coming from. Consider it done. Give me 72 hours. For the next 3 days, I played the part. I visited Sarah at the small apartment she and Julian rented. It was clean but cramped. My grandson, Leo, was coughing. It's just a cold, Dad, Sarah said, pouring me tea. Her hands were shaking. But the heating bill is so high, we've been keeping the thermostat low. Where is Julian? I asked. Business trip. Miami. Networking, she said, her eyes looking at the floor. I looked around. No photos of Julian and Sarah. Just photos of Julian. Julian with a car. Julian holding a trophy. Sarah, I said softly. If you ever needed to leave. I can't, Dad, she whispered, tears forming. Everything is in his name. The lease, the car. He says if I leave, he'll hire the best lawyers and take Leo. He says I can't afford to fight him. He says I'm nothing without him. My heart broke, then hardened into steel. He's wrong, sweetheart. Just promise me one thing. If I ask you to trust me, no matter how crazy it sounds, will you? She looked at me, confused, but nodded. I trust you, Dad. Kowalski met me at a diner 4 days later. He slid a thick black binder across the table. You're not going to like this, Kowalski said. But you're going to catch him. I opened the binder. Item 1, Infidelity. Photos of Julian in Miami. He wasn't networking. He was on a yacht with a woman named Veronica, the daughter of the dealership's current owner. He was trying to marry into the family. Item 2, Embezzlement. He's cooking the books, Kowalski explained, pointing to a spreadsheet. He's taking deposits for custom orders, high-end Ferraris, $500,000 down payments, and moving them into a shell company in the Caymans. He uses that money to pay off previous debts and fund his lifestyle. It's a Ponzi scheme. He's about $2 million in the hole. If the auditors come, he goes to prison for 20 years. Item 3, The Plan. I hacked his email, Kowalski said. He's planning to file for divorce next month. He's setting Sarah up. He's moved all joint assets to hidden accounts. He plans to leave her with all the debt and take the kid to look like a stable single father for his new girlfriend. I closed the binder. The rage I felt was a cold, quiet thing. He wants to destroy my daughter. He's already doing it, Elias. What's the play? Do we go to the police? No, I said, standing up. The police take too long. And if he gets arrested now, the money is gone, and Sarah is left with the debt. I need to crush him completely. I need to take his reputation, his career, and his leverage. I pulled out my phone. I'm making a call to the board of directors. The next week, the atmosphere at Sterling & Company was electric. Rumors were flying. A mysterious investment firm, Titan Holdings, had just purchased a 51% controlling stake in the dealership chain. The acquisition was aggressive. The new owners demanded an immediate restructuring. They were sending a representative to evaluate the current management. Julian was panicked but excited. I knew this because I had bugged his office. "This is it, babe," he told his girlfriend on the phone. "Titan Holdings keeps the top performers. I'm the GM. I'll pitch them my vision. I'll be CEO of the regional division within a year. Then I dump Sarah and the kid, and we're free." He had no idea that Titan Holdings was a subsidiary of my family trust. I sent a formal email to the dealership under the name Mr. E. Black, the representative for Titan Holdings. Subject: Management Review. To Julian Sterling. Message: I will be arriving on Friday at 2 p.m. for a full audit and performance review. Prepare all financial records. I expect a full presentation on why you should remain in leadership. Julian spent thousands on a new suit. He had the showroom scrubbed. He ordered catering. He was ready to charm his way to the top. Friday, 1:55 p.m. It was raining hard. I pulled my rattling Ford pickup truck right up to the glass doors of the dealership. I saw Julian inside, pacing. He saw the truck and his face turned red. He came storming out, an umbrella over his head to protect his suit. "Are you insane?" he screamed over the rain. "Move this junk. The new owners are going to be here any minute. Mr. Black is coming. If his Rolls-Royce sees this garbage truck, I will kill you." I rolled down the window. "I'm just here to watch, Julian." "Security," he screamed. "Get a tow truck. Tow this piece of trash. And throw this old man in the street." 2 guards ran out. They grabbed my arms as I stepped out of the truck. "Don't touch him," a deep voice boomed. Julian froze. A black limousine had pulled up behind my truck. A man in a sharp suit stepped out. It was my lawyer, Marcus. "Mr. Sterling?" Marcus asked. "Yes. Yes, that's me." Julian fixed his tie, shoving me aside. "I am so sorry about this interruption. This homeless man is just leaving. You must be Mr. Black." Marcus looked at Julian, then looked at me. He bowed his head slightly. "No, Mr. Sterling. I am not Mr. Black. I am the legal counsel for Titan Holdings." Marcus walked over to me, opened an umbrella, and held it over my head. "Good afternoon, sir. Shall we go inside?" Julian's eyes went wide. He looked between me and Marcus. What? Why are you holding an umbrella for him? He's the janitor's equivalent. He's a nobody. I brushed the rain off my flannel shirt. I think we should go to the boardroom, Julian. We have a lot to discuss. You? Julian stammered. You can't go in there. It's a private meeting. It's my building, Julian, I said calmly. I can go wherever I want. The conference room was filled with the other executives and sales managers. They all stood up when we entered. They were expecting a billionaire. They saw Julian, pale and sweating. And they saw me, in my work boots and jeans, sitting at the head of the table. This is a joke, Julian whispered, trying to regain control. Dad, if this is some kind of prank. Sit down, Julian, I commanded. The authority in my voice was something he had never heard before. It was the voice of a man who had commanded hundreds of employees. He sat. My name, I announced to the room, is Elias Thorne. I am the founder of Thorne Logistics. And as of 3 days ago, I am the sole owner of Titan Holdings, which owns this dealership. A gasp went around the room. Julian looked like he was going to vomit. No, Julian stammered. That's impossible. You drive a Ford. You live in a farmhouse. I live where I want. I drive what I want. Because I don't need to impress people I don't like, I said. I slid the black binder across the table. Open it. Julian's hands shook as he opened the binder. Gentlemen, I addressed the other executives. What you see before you is evidence that Mr. Sterling has been stealing customer deposits. Page 4 shows the wire transfers to the Cayman Islands. Page 10 shows the falsified ledgers. The other managers looked at the documents, their faces turning pale. This is a lie. Julian shouted, standing up. He fabricated this. He hates me because I'm successful. I don't hate you because you're successful, Julian. I hate you because you're a fraud. And a thief. And a bad husband. I pressed a button on the conference phone. Officer, you can come in now. The doors opened. 2 police officers and a detective walked in. Julian scrambled back. Wait. Wait. I can explain. It was a loan. I was going to pay it back. You stole $2.4 million, I said coldly. And you spent it on a mistress and a lifestyle you couldn't afford. You haven't paid rent on my daughter's apartment in 3 months, but you bought a $20,000 watch last week. I stood up and walked over to him. You called me a failure, Julian. You told me to clear out my desk. Well, I'm authorizing your termination. Immediately. The police handcuffed him. As they dragged him out, he was crying, begging. Elias. Please. For Sarah. Think of your grandson. I leaned in close. I am thinking of them. That's why I'm removing the cancer from their lives. The room was silent after they took him away. The other executives were terrified. Gentlemen, I said, buttoning my flannel jacket. Business continues as usual. Except we will be auditing every department. Honest work will be rewarded. Dishonesty will be prosecuted. Clear? Yes, sir, they chorused. I walked out of the dealership. The rain had stopped. I drove to Sarah's apartment. She was waiting, looking anxious. When I told her everything, the money, the theft, the arrest, she didn't cry. She looked relieved. A massive weight had been lifted. "He's gone?" she asked. "He's gone. He won't be hurting anyone for a long time." "But Dad, the debt. He left us with nothing." I smiled and took her hand. "Sarah, pack a bag. Pack one for Leo." "Where are we going?" "Home. The real home." I drove them to a property I had bought years ago but never showed them. It was a beautiful estate near the lake, with a large garden for Leo and a studio for Sarah's art, which she had given up for Julian. "Dad!" she gasped as we pulled into the driveway. "Whose house is this?" "It's yours," I said. "And don't worry about the medical bills for Leo. Or the debt. I paid it all off this morning." "But how?" she asked, looking at my old truck. "I made some good investments," I winked. "And I learned that the loudest man in the room is usually the weakest. And the quietest man is the one you should watch out for." 6 months later. I walked into the prison visiting room. Julian sat behind the glass. He looked terrible. His hair was messy, his suit gone, replaced by an orange jumpsuit. He picked up the phone. "You came to gloat?" "No," I said. "I came to give you these." I held up divorce papers. "Sign them. Give her full custody. If you do, I won't object to your parole hearing in 5 years. If you fight it, I will use my lawyers to keep you in here for 20. He stared at me with hate, but he picked up the pen. He signed. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked, his voice cracking. "If I had known you were rich, I would have treated you like a king." "That," I said, standing up, "is exactly why I didn't tell you. Character isn't how you treat the kings, Julian. It's how you treat the janitor." I hung up the phone and walked out into the sunlight. My phone buzzed. It was a picture from Sarah. Leo was playing in the garden, looking healthy and happy. I got into my old Ford truck. It still rattled. It still had mud on the tires. But as I drove away, I felt richer than I ever had in my life.